and welcome to Round Robin. I'm your host, Robin McCormick with the City of Hampton. And today, as we begin the new year, we're going to take a new look at Coliseum Central and how that district of Hampton is growing and changing. My guest is Raymond Tripp. Welcome.
Good morning. Thank you.
You've been at this a long time.
Probably too long.
Coliseum Central is, downtown is sort of the heart of the city in terms of city government and things like that. But Coliseum Central is our retail engine.
Right.
You guys handle more than 80% of the city's retail sales, and that means tax dollars that we can use for the city as a whole. But retail is a little bit threatened right now as we stay home and shop online or buy things that we can't get locally. We, shoppers, have changed that. How is the district adapting to this?
Well, absolutely, you're right. The internet has made a difference in the way people shop today. And we're aware of that, as well as our retailers, more than anybody. And we realize, too, there are certain things that a customer is looking for, whether they're shopping online or they're going to a brick and mortar, but they're looking for the experience. And that experience, unfortunately, has not always been there for our brick and mortar stores because they thought I'm the only game in town, so I didn't need to worry about it as much. Well, internet has changed that. You can buy a lot of things off using your phone or any type of electronic device you may have. So we're trying to work with our retailers to make them understand that customer service is something that you can't replace on the internet. And they call it Amazon proof is the new term now. That'll be the new term you'll hear today. But it's really things that they can do without a lot of cost to their businesses. And that's really focus on the customer. When they come in, greet them the way they want to be greeted, help them find the product they're looking for, not the one you're just trying to sell. And we think that if you focus more on customer service, give them the options they're looking for, there is advantages to brick and mortar stores.
You know, one of the interesting things I noticed that Peninsula Town Center has done is I truly believe you have to try on clothes. It's very hard for me to buy clothes or shoes over the internet. I've got to look at them. I got to see how they fit and feel because every size is different. No manufacturer makes things the same. But the way they've grouped those women's clothiers all on the same row, like back in the day, you used to not do that because they're competing with each other. But now they've created a shopping destination, and I might, buy one thing here and another thing here, and sometimes it depends on coupons or what they have. But it really works to make each one of them much stronger together than they are alone.
And that's the concept of retail in general. The more retail shops you have, the better the stores will do. A lot of people don't understand that concept. They say, I don't want my competition down the street from me. But if they do have that competition down the street, then they have a better chance of getting a shot at that customer that they may not usually bring in. So the same thing with restaurants, and you see restaurants are clucked together, and there's a lot of those. But when you have a family, and especially during the holidays or even after the holidays, they say, where do you want to go eat? Well, I don't know, but let's go to Coliseum Central. There's a number of restaurants we can choose from. So we're trying to be that place and destination so that when they decide what it is their purpose is, that we'll have what they need.
Well, and let's talk about Macy's closure for a minute, because I think a lot of people are like, oh, Macy's closed, it's the end of the world, or Hampton did something wrong. Well, we all did something wrong because we're not shopping in a lot of those big box stores the way we used to. And it's not a bad thing. It's a transition we have to go through, and certainly the city lost some tax revenue, but it's going to be reshaped into something different. And I think we have to be able to step back and say, okay, we've changed the way we live our lives. The district, the retailers, the businesses are reshaping and bringing in new and different opportunities to reflect that.
Absolutely. I mean, and if you do your history, Macy's is not the only national store that's closed overnight, so to speak. I mean, there was Ward's, there's Kmart's.
Kmart's, yeah, totally struggling.
So, yeah, the retail is like any industry, has to stay current and needs to change to stay current with the demand of the consumer. And, we look at vacancy like that as not as a loss, but as an opportunity, is what you said. And this is where the retailers and the developers are headed today. They're looking at those empty buildings and trying to figure out, okay, what is a better use for this? What is the consumer telling me they're looking for that we don't have? And try to reshape that or form that building to the needs that the consumers are asking for. Entertainment is a real quick one people throw out. I know the city has looked toward that and asked a lot of our developers to try to bring in more entertainment.
And Sky Zone is coming.
Sky Zone is one of them, absolutely. And there have been other products like that.
You've got the escape room open this past year. Trying to remember what all else.
But the thing
You've got paint night. I mean, that's a thing where it's where you're providing an experience for people, and that's what a lot of folks are looking for right now.
Absolutely, and you can't, like you say, you can't get that off an electronic device.
Right.
The
other thing I think is interesting, and it's people think sometimes of Coliseum Central as like Peninsula Town Center and the Coliseum crossing right behind it, but it's a really bigger district than that. And you include Todd Center, and this year one of the most interesting adaptations to e-commerce opened, and it's called the e-commerce center.
It's called the e-commerce center. Yeah, the Todd Center, the owners of that are the Freeman family, and this was actually a brainchild of Bobby Freeman Jr., which I think is very unique, and it does answer some of the questions and the issues we addressed today in retail. Mr. Freeman's thought was that there are a lot of people that are doing sales out of their garage, out of their home through the internet. And his idea, well, if we could give them a location where they could store their product, have an office, and distribute that product out of the same building, that would be at a price that's affordable, that it could help bring some of those garage retailers out into the district itself. And there are legs to this. You could actually add where you could give them support in helping them come together with ideas and strategies. So it does have a lot of opportunities for the future that are just now being touched on.
I think it's exciting because one of the things we hear about millennials, and I know we shouldn't stereotype people, but there's this movement back to handcrafted and unique goods, and they've all sprung up on Etsy, and there are people in our community who are making things and selling them on the internet, and this gives them, I think, some business support, some logistics support, some space, and that, packing and mailing. And then there's also people, let's face it, people my age and your age have collected a lot of stuff.
Yes,
we're going to be downsizing one of these days. I'm betting my kids don't want it, but someone might. And so I'm hoping they add that concept to it where they actually sell the stuff for you, where they create, an eBay or a center, and I don't have to deal with it because that's all going to be just a little too hard for a lot of folks who are at that downsizing kind of age.
And that's actually one of the ideas is they say you are an individual and you sell widgets out of your garage through the internet. You go there, you rent the space, you get a small office or a large, depending on what your needs or your demands are, and then you have your storage product downstairs.
Yes.
Well, just say you happen to be out at a business meeting or something, and you get I ordered 100, but I need 250. Then hopefully in the future he'll be able to go down and says, listen, this product's in my storage room, can you take it and add another 150 to it and put it and ship it out, and never have to be there to do it. So there's that type of connection is what Mr. Freeman's trying to generate in this new building and this new type of retail.
Yeah, it's very exciting. So the New Year's a time, I think, when sometimes businesses slow down. You guys have this great push over the holidays, people are buying stuff. But, there's a January, February slump when I want to go out to eat. It's cold, it's dark, and I need to get out of the house. You guys have a real range of restaurants, a couple more on the way. It's just always a place where you can go.
It is. And, the eating is a type of entertainment today. And our district is loaded with it. We've got everything for any palate that you would like. If you want Indian, we have monsoons.
I love that.
One of the best in the area, in my opinion. If you want sushi, we have Soy over at Coliseum Crossing. And then there's Pho 79, which is at the Square. And if you like good old Southern style food, we got Sweet Teas, which has been there now at the Peninsula Town Center for about a year, and they do extremely well and have a great product. Park Lane, if you want the European flair and you love microbrews, can't beat them, and their food is tops.
Yeah.
Then Green Turtle, which is if you like a sports guy and you want to watch your favorite team, look, go there, get a burger, watch the team, and then of course Buffalo Wild Wings. What can you say about that? But
Well, that fast casual, I think, is really serving a family niche right now, a single person niche.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I have a 20-something son, and I think he should stay home and cook. But, you know, when it's one person,
Yeah.
it's kind of not cost effective to buy food.
No,
It
it's not.
is easier and probably better and almost as cheap to hit those, you know, one big meal a day and then snacks for the rest of the time or whatever.
And you know, there are even restaurants out there that really cater to healthy eating, which is what First Watch is all about.
Oh, yeah.
And you can get breakfast, lunch, or dinner there. But you know, the point is that their menu choices are healthier than most. And so we try to fill the palate with all the different style restaurants, and that's been one of the better things that we've been able to do in our district is bring in the restaurants.
Well, and let's also say, since we're talking about healthy at the New Year, one of the other things is it's such a walkable district. I mean,
Yes.
you still have a couple of big roads that are a little bit tricky to. It's very safe to cross,
Right.
but there's a mental hurdle sometimes. But Peninsula Town Center is expanding. You've got all that area you can walk in there. But the water walk at
Absolutely.
Central Park now, the urban end is sort of open and it's expanding. It'll go behind the Coliseum and it'll connect all the way over to Air and Space Park.
Right.
But the cool part right now is you've got this much safer pedestrian walkway on Pine Chapel Road.
Exactly.
So you've got tourists staying at the hotels over by Bass Pro or shopping at Bass Pro, people at the hotels in your district. We got a couple, that's still in your district.
Yes, yeah.
In that center, and you've got a couple more getting ready to open.
Right.
The convention center, the Coliseum. I know when I go somewhere for a convention, I don't want to get in my car.
Right.
I want to walk. And this just makes it easier to connect those parts of the district together in a really safe way. And hopefully they'll stop at Bluebird Gap if it's a family and it's the daytime.
Which is
if it's the
awesome.
nighttime and they're out at the restaurants, you know. It just makes everything safer and more connected.
And that's one of the objectives that we have at the bid as well is we realize, and through our research and also visiting other communities, people love to be out and exercising. And whether you're there
Well, you
for a
gotta walk off those
convention,
pounds I'm eating.
well, that's an ongoing issue for me anyway. But yeah, but this trail, just for instance, when you have when the Convention and Tourism talks to the guests that come, they ask what are the amenities you'd like to see, and they like to be outside and walking these trails. If you've ever been to a community that's put them in there, they're very active. It gives an opportunity too for us to expose the water features that we have in our district, which are very underutilized. And hopefully during the warmer months we'll have kayaking and canoeing on some of the creek because it is deep enough for that.
Yep.
So we call the Central Park Trail a real strong amenity that we're going to be working with the city to help actually put in some artwork, some benches, and as you go along and further down the road, maybe some areas where you can actually have gatherings right off the trail. There's a lot of different opportunities that exist there, and the city's been a great partner and has realized that early on. And this trail's been in our master plan for a long time, so it's really exciting to see it come off the paper and into the ground.
Well, and thank you for saying, because I forgot, but yes, the businesses through the business district are going to provide some financial support
Exactly.
to the city's building the park, but kind of out of tax money in terms of benches, trash cans, signs, things that you need in order to make it utilized and comfortable and all that kind of thing. So we do appreciate that.
Yeah,
And
well.
it's very exciting because I think along that more urban corridor, you could have festivals or weekend
Absolutely.
kiosks or, you know, sort of have pop-up retail there. And then as you keep going, suddenly you're along the creek where there's herons and egrets and crabs and you're into nature. And so it takes the district kind of through that. It's just a wonderful thing that we can offer that in Hampton.
Absolutely. And, you know, not only are we focused on the Central Park Trail, but our goals and objectives and mission for the last few years have been to work on the sidewalks. How often have you walked down a sidewalk and it goes nowhere? Well,
Right.
we've tried to complete those gaps, working again with the city and using some of our funds to help finance some of the sidewalks that were not in the plan. So we're trying to make it so if you do have to walk, you have the ability to maneuver through our district as a pedestrian. And we've also started looking a lot at our bus stops. There are many times you see those that do have to use public transportation, and there's really not amenities at some of these stops, especially the ones that have the high riderships. And so we've worked with HRT, and in the last year or so, we've added about 7 new shelters. Right now, actually starting next week, we'll be putting in 4 new benches at 4 different locations in our district at the bus stops.
And that's good for your shoppers and for your workers.
Our workers as well.
Got to get people to work.
Absolutely. And you know, as we get, we start as being a location where there is a lot of traffic. We find that that's one of the issues that gets brought up a lot from from anybody who's looking to relocate to our district is what kind of public transit system do you have, and is it available, and how easy is it accessible for those that are using it? So that's a key that a lot of people don't think about, but a lot of businesses think about that when they're doing their master plans.
It's very important, and it is this also part of building your live, work, play area where you could, at least in theory, spend weeks, not leave the district, and just walk around, get your exercise, get to and from work, get to and from shopping. Unless you're carrying big, heavy groceries, you don't need that car, hopefully.
And we've got actually 2 business owners that are living in our district. And and they're big businesses that they own. And so they could literally walk to their businesses, which is, again, some of the things we think about. And, you know, that's another thing, the district, you know, although retail is the livelihood and is a good financial back for the city, we feel that the more residential we can put in our district, the more shoppers that would be available for our retailers as well. And, you know, you'll see a lot of retail and residential, because you're already seeing that expansion, even in the apartments over on Executive Drive. And now H2O has been re-energized.
Yeah, that's doing really well. And the Pinnacle apartments are gorgeous.
It was almost leased up, from what I understand. And, of course, the town center's expanding in their residential as well. And they've already put 24 studio apartments behind the movie bistro on that 2nd level, and they're already leased out.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
that's
so
great.
Well, it's really a neat studio. When you sit there, at the end of your wall's nothing but window, and it's a 20-foot window. So it really gives that urban feel to those that enjoy that type of an environment. And of course, they're expanding also on the former Macy's site as well. So these are things that we've worked and encouraged our developers to focus on, because we really believe adding that residential element is a key to our district.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you stopping by today.
Yeah, sure.
And thank you all for watching. I hope you've learned a little bit about how this district is growing and changing to meet your needs and the needs of our visitors and our shopping customers. Thanks for watching.